The great palace of Valora floated above the clouds, a shining fortress of alien stone and silver towers. Inside, the alien princess paced her chamber, her sharp eyes fixed on the balcony. She had heard the whispers again that morning. Servants giggling in the halls, soldiers smirking at the campfires, all of them speaking of the strange humans, how they reproduced without limit, how they had no seasons of fertility like her people. It couldn't be true. It had to be another one of those crude human lies. The princess clenched her fist, her long nails digging into her palm. They think I will believe such nonsense, she muttered to herself. Her advisor, old General Thard, had bowed his head earlier and said, "Your Highness, humans are dangerous because they never stop multiplying. That is why their armies never end." She had laughed at him, but the thought refused to leave her mind. Now, standing alone, she whispered, "If it is true, then I must see it for myself." The chamber door slid open with a hiss. 2 guards entered, tall and armored, dragging a chained prisoner between them. His head was bowed, but she could see he was human. Broad-shouldered, scarred, and yet his eyes sparkled with a quiet fire. The princess rose from her throne like seat, her lips curling in curiosity. "So this is the creature who dares to walk our worlds freely," she said softly. The human raised his eyes and met hers without fear. "Creature?" he asked with a smirk. "Funny, I was thinking the same about you," the guards gasped. No one spoke to her like that, but the princess's anger turned strangely into interest. This one had courage. She circled him slowly, her silken gown brushing the floor. "Tell me, human, is it true what they say?" He tilted his head. "Depends on what you've heard." She leaned closer, her breath almost at his ear. "That your kind can reproduce whenever you wish. Not once a season, not once a cycle, but all the time." The human chuckled. "Ah, so that's what keeps you awake at night." His voice carried a teasing warmth, as though he enjoyed watching her struggle with the question. The princess's cheeks flushed a faint shade of violet, the mark of her kind when they felt something unusual. She turned sharply, hiding her reaction. "Answer me, is it true?" He tugged at his chains slightly, looking down at them, then back up into her eyes. "Why don't you let me show you?" The guards stiffened, waiting for her command to strike him down. But instead, she raised her hand and dismissed them. "Leave us," she ordered. The guards hesitated. "But princess, now." The chamber doors closed, leaving the princess alone with her human captive. Silence filled the air. Heavy, sharp, and dangerous. She stepped closer again, her long fingers brushing the cold metal of his shackles. "Do not think to mock me," she warned. But her voice was not as steady as before. He leaned forward just enough that his lips nearly brushed her ear. "I'm not mocking you. I'm offering you the truth." Her heart raced, and she hated that he could make her feel uncertain. She had crushed rebellions, commanded fleets, and yet here she was, trembling before a single human. The princess straightened, forcing herself to regain control. "You think I will risk my honor, my throne, just to test a human's words?" He smiled. "I think you're already tempted. Otherwise, why send your guards away?" Her violet flush deepened. For a moment, she almost struck him. Instead, she pulled back, standing tall, her voice echoing in the chamber. "Very well, human. If you truly claim such power, then you will prove it to me, not with words, not with jokes, but with evidence." His chains rattled as he leaned back casually against the pillar. "Careful, princess. Once you start asking for proof, you may not be able to stop." Her throat tightened at his boldness, but her eyes never left his. She wanted answers. And now she had him. The night wind slipped through the balcony curtains, carrying the distant thunder of alien storms. Inside the chamber, the tension grew. Hotter, tighter, until it felt like the very air would burn. The princess whispered, almost to herself. "Tomorrow night. I will question you again, and this time I expect no lies." The human only smirked, his gaze locking into hers. With infuriating confidence. "Oh, princess, I don't lie. But I do make things very hard to believe." Her breath caught at his words. She turned away quickly before he could see her reaction, her gown swirling around her like a shield. But even as she left him chained, her mind raced with forbidden thoughts. Questions she never imagined she would dare ask. And an itch of curiosity that no throne or crown could silence. Tomorrow night, she told herself. Tomorrow she would force the truth out of him, yet deep down. She already feared what would happen when she did ... If you were the princess. Would you really dare to test a human like that? The chamber was dim when the guards returned at dusk. Carrying the human once more, his chains clinking against the polished floor. The princess sat waiting, her posture straight, her gaze sharper than a blade. She had told herself she would remain cold, untouched, unshaken. But when his eyes met hers again, the fire in them almost burned through her resolve. "Leave us," she ordered. The guards hesitated only a second this time before bowing and stepping out. The door sealed with a hiss. Silence fell. The human smirked. "Seems you can't get enough of me, princess." She narrowed her eyes. "Do not flatter yourself. I summoned you only for answers." He tilted his head, chains rattling as he leaned forward. Answers or demonstrations? Her lips parted, whether to rebuke him or demand proof. Even she did not know. Instead, she forced a regal tone. "You will explain, human, every detail of how your kind reproduces." His grin widened. "You want details, are you sure? I can be very thorough." Heat crept into her cheeks, violet blooming across her skin again. She hated that he noticed it. "Explain without your games." She snapped, but the human chuckled softly, lowering his voice. "Princess, reproduction is never just about explanation. It's about feeling, touching, wanting." She froze at his words, her chest rising faster. No advisor, no general, no alien scholar had ever dared speak to her like this. And yet, she could not look away. "Your arrogance will cost you." "Your life," she whispered. He leaned closer, his lips so near her ear she could almost feel the warmth. "Or it might give you the one lesson no alien has ever taught you." Her hand hovered near the chain lock, trembling. She told herself it was to punish him, to keep control. Yet her fingers hesitated. Itching to undo the restraint, she caught herself pulling back. "You play dangerous games, human." "Games?" He chuckled again. "No, princess, this is education. But if you insist, I can give you a demonstration instead of a lecture." Her violet flush deepened. "You dare? Dare?" He cut in, his smirk turning sharper. "I think you want me to dare." For a long moment, the chamber was silent except for the thunder outside and the sound of her unsteady breath. She had power. She had control. But here, alone with him, she felt as though the chains were not his, but hers. Finally, she forced herself to stand tall, voice trembling but commanding. "Tomorrow, I will return, and then you will prove everything. Do you understand?" The human leaned back against the pillar, eyes gleaming with amusement. "Oh, I understand, princess. The real question is, will you be ready when I do?" Her pulse raced at his words. She turned quickly, storming from the chamber, her gown trailing behind her. Yet even as the doors sealed, her mind whispered traitorously, "Yes. I want to see ... Naughty question for comments. If you were chained in front of the princess, would you answer her with words or with actions?" The next night came quickly. Though for the princess, it felt endless. She had thought of him all day. His words echoing in her head. His bold smirk burned into her thoughts. When the guards dragged the human in again, she dismissed them at once, Her voice carried no hesitation this time. "Leave us." The doors sealed, and silence pressed in. The human raised an eyebrow. "You're eager tonight, princess." Her violet flush betrayed her, but she hid it with a sharp tone. "You will speak when I command. Now." "Explain." He tilted his head, his chains clinking. As he leaned forward, "Explain reproduction, or demonstrate it?" Her jaw tightened. "I asked for answers, scientific ones." He grinned. "Science? Fine. It usually starts with two bodies close, very close. A touch here." He lifted his shackled hand slightly. "And sometimes, a kiss." Her heart skipped. "A kiss? That is how humans reproduce?" she asked, trying to sound unimpressed. He smirked. "No, princess. That's how we start." "Would you like me to start?" Her throat tightened. She stepped closer, pretending it was to study him. But the air between them grew hotter with each breath. She asked, "Why so many steps? Why not simply release the seed and be done?" He laughed softly. "Because humans don't just reproduce, princess. We enjoy it. We make it last. We make it unforgettable." Her chest rose sharply at his tone. She turned, pretending to examine a scroll on her desk. "Such arrogance. You expect me to believe your kind wastes time on enjoyment? Not wastes," he replied smoothly. "Invests. The more time, the better the outcome. Stronger bonds. Deeper pleasure. Longer nights." Her violet flush deepened again. She hated it. Hated how her body betrayed her whenever he spoke. She spun back to him. "If you are so confident, then show me. Right now." The human leaned forward, his chains rattling, his smile slow and dangerous. "Unlock these, and I'll show you everything. But careful, princess. Once I start, you might not want me to stop." Her hand hovered near the chain lock again. Her pride screamed at her not to, but her curiosity, her hunger for truth, made her fingers tremble. She leaned closer, her lips just a breath away from his. "Do not think you can control me," he whispered back, his voice low and teasing. "Who said anything about control? Maybe you'll like giving it up." Her chest tightened. For a moment, she forgot her throne, her crown, her father's wrath. There was only him, and the heat between them. But then, thunder cracked outside. She jerked back, her composure barely holding. "Tomorrow," she whispered. "Tomorrow, I will decide." The human smirked, eyes glinting. "Tomorrow, princess, your curiosity will break you. And I'll be right here, waiting." She turned away quickly, storming out, but her lips tingled with the ghost of a kiss that hadn't yet happened, and deep down, she wanted it more than anything. Naughty question for comments. Should the princess unlock his chains tomorrow, or keep him bound while she tests him? Asterisk, the storm outside raged louder that night. Lightning flashing across the silver towers of the palace, the princess entered her chamber with a faster step than usual, her heart pounding before she even saw him. The human was already there, chained to the pillar, waiting and smiling as if he knew every thought in her mind. "You came quicker tonight," he teased. Her violet cheeks betrayed her again. She lifted her chin. "Silence. You will answer me only when I ask." He leaned forward, his voice low and smooth. "Ask, princess. I'll give you anything you want." She tried to remain cold. She told herself this was science, research, nothing more. But her steps carried her closer to him until his breath brushed her face. She demanded, "Then show me how humans begin this reproduction." He tilted his head. "You want me to begin? All right, but it starts simple." His lips curved into a wicked smile. "It starts with a kiss." Her chest tightened. She had expected words, not challenge. "A kiss? That is child's play," he chuckled. "Then why do you look like you're afraid of it?" Her eyes flared. She would not be mocked, not by him. "I fear nothing," she hissed, and before she could second-guess herself, she leaned in quickly, pressing her lips against his dot. The contact lasted only a heartbeat. But it was enough. Enough to make her body jolt, her breath quicken, her knees weaken. Her eyes widened in shock at the rush of warmth she had never known before. She pulled back sharply, wiping her lips as if scorched. That proves nothing." The human's smile widened. "Oh, princess, that proves everything. Look at you, shaking already." Her voice faltered. I am not," but she was. And he knew it. He whispered, teasing, "One kiss and you're trembling. What happens when I show you the rest?" Her pride clashed with the hunger rising inside her. She hated his smirk, hated his confidence, but she hated most that she wanted more. "Again," she commanded softly, almost breathless. "This time." He leaned forward, closing the distance slowly, letting her feel every second of the tension. His lips brushed hers again, longer, warmer, until she gasped against his mouth, her hands tightening unconsciously around the cold chains that bound him. When she finally pulled back, her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her violet flush had spread down her neck, betraying her completely. She whispered, "Enough for now." But her eyes lingered on his lips, betraying what her words tried to hide. The human leaned back with that infuriating smirk. "Tomorrow, princess, you won't say enough. Tomorrow, you'll beg for more." Her body shivered, not from fear, but from a fire she had never felt before. She turned away, storming out, but her legs felt weak beneath her dot, and for the first time in her life, the alien princess wondered if her throne, her crown, even her pride, were worth as much as one more human kiss. Naughty question for comments. Should the princess kiss him deeper next time? Or let him stay chained and make him beg first? The palace grew quieter after midnight. And that was when the princess broke her own laws. Her footsteps echoed softly through the secret halls as she slipped into the chamber where the human waited. She had told herself it was only for study, only for answers her people's scholars could never give. But deep inside, she knew the truth. She wanted him. He looked up when she entered, his smirk waiting for her as always. "Back again. Princess, careful. At this rate, they'll start thinking you belong to me." Her cheeks flushed violet, but she ignored his jab. "This is research," she said quickly, her voice not as steady as she wished. He leaned forward in his chains, voice low and playful. "Research? Then I must be your favorite subject." She stepped closer, eyes burning with frustration and curiosity. "You will show me more. Tonight." He raised a brow. "More? Are you sure? Each time you ask for more, princess, you get closer to breaking your own rules." Her lips tightened. "I command you." "Show me," the human chuckled. "Commands don't work here. Desire does." Before she could rebuke him, he tilted his head and said, "Last night was just kissing. Tonight, you'll learn how humans touch." Her breath caught. "Touch?" His smile widened. "Yes, that's how it begins, hands exploring. Searching. Testing, not because we must, but because we want to." The princess's hands trembled as she hovered them near his shoulders, not quite touching. She whispered, "And this leads to reproduction?" He grinned. "Not immediately, but it leads to something far more addictive." Finally, she gave in and placed her hand on him. His warmth shocked her, made her breath quicken. She pulled back instantly, but he caught her wrist gently with his shackled hand. "Too late, princess. Now you've really started your experiment." Her chest rose and fell quickly. She should have ordered him silenced, punished, locked away. Instead, she stood frozen, her skin burning where he touched her. She whispered, "If my father discovers this, you will be executed at dawn." The human smirked. "Then let's make sure tonight is worth the risk." Her violet flush deepened until she could barely breathe. She forced herself to step back, snatching her hand away. "Tomorrow I will return, and you will prove more." He leaned back lazily, his voice dripping with amusement. "Tomorrow? Princess, you'll never last that long. You'll dream of me tonight, and when you wake, you'll come back hungry." She turned sharply, storming out before her legs betrayed her. But as the doors sealed, she realized he was right. Already her body craved more. Already her mind whispered forbidden questions she never thought she would dare ask. And for the first time, she wondered if she wanted him not as a prisoner, but as something more. Naughty question for comments. If you were the princess, would you keep him chained for more experiments, or set him free and let him teach you everything? The palace no longer felt safe. The alien princess had stolen too many nights in secret. Too many kisses, too many dangerous touches with the human. What began as curiosity had become hunger. She told herself it was still research. But in her heart, she knew the truth. She wanted him more than she wanted her crown. But whispers had begun spreading. The guards noticed her late-night disappearances. The servants saw the flush on her face each morning. And worst of all, the king, her father, had grown suspicious. That evening, the princess entered the chamber once more. The human was waiting, his chains clinking as he leaned forward with his usual smirk. "You look tense, princess. Don't tell me daddy's starting to wonder why you keep sneaking off at night." Her violet cheeks darkened. "Do not say such things." He grinned wider. "I can already see it. The mighty king storming in here, finding his precious daughter studying human reproduction firsthand." Her heart pounded. She wanted to strike him for his arrogance, but instead she stepped closer, lowering her voice. "My father has eyes everywhere. If he discovers us, he will kill you." The human leaned back, chains rattling, his grin turning softer, dangerous in another way. "Then we'd better make every night worth dying for." Her throat tightened. She hated how easily he disarmed her with words. Hated how much she wanted to taste his lips again, even while danger pressed closer. She whispered, "You speak as though this is more than a game." He looked at her firmly now, without the usual mockery. "Maybe it is. Maybe you've stopped being a scientist and started being a woman." Her breath caught at his words. Her body betrayed her once again, flushing hot. She turned sharply, but before she could speak, the chamber door burst open. General Tharn stormed inside, his eyes narrowing at the sight before him, the princess standing far too close to the chained human. "Your Highness," the old soldier barked. "This man is dangerous. He must be executed at dawn." The princess froze, her heart hammering in her chest. The human only smiled at her, eyes burning with daring amusement. "You hear that, princess? If I die tomorrow, tonight is our last chance." The princess's lips parted, trembling between fury, fear, and desire. She dismissed the general quickly, ordering him to prepare the guards, hiding her panic behind cold authority. But when the doors sealed again, she turned to the human, her voice low and desperate. "They will kill you at dawn." He leaned forward, eyes locking into hers. "Then what are you going to do about it?" Her chest rose quickly, breath shallow, every nerve on fire. She could save him, but only if she betrayed her father. Only if she risked everything. Her whisper came like a confession. "Tonight you will escape, but first, you must prove it to me. Prove it the human way." The human's smirk returned, sharper now, knowing she had finally crossed the line. "Oh, princess, I've been waiting for you to say that." Naughty question for comments. If you were the princess, would you risk your crown to save the human, or let him prove himself one last time before dawn? Asterisk, the palace bells rang before dawn, their sharp cries echoing across the floating towers. The king's orders were clear. The human dies with the sunrise. But in the hidden corridors, the princess moved like a shadow, her cloak sweeping behind her. Her heart pounded as she unlocked the chamber door. Inside, the human waited, his chains glinting in the faint torchlight. She whispered, trembling, "We have little time. Once the guards arrive," he interrupted with a grin. "I told you, princess. You'd come back for me." Her hands shook as she reached for the locks, finally snapping the shackles free. For the first time, he stood before her unbound, taller, broader, more dangerous. Yet when his hand brushed hers, she didn't step back. "You're free," she whispered. He leaned closer, his voice low, playful even in danger. "Free, but not done. You said I had to prove myself." The human way, her throat tightened. Her father's guards were already marching. She could hear boots echoing in the halls. But her body burned, demanding answers her mind no longer wanted to deny. She hissed, "This is madness." He smirked, pulling her flush against him. "No, this is human." Their lips crashed together, harder than before, no hesitation this time. She gasped against him, trembling with a rush she had never known. Lightning split the sky outside, thunder shaking the chamber. But she clung to him as if the storm itself couldn't tear them apart. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were wide, her violet flush covering her entire face. "Enough, we must go," she whispered, but he only chuckled, brushing his thumb across her cheek. "Tell me, princess, is it enough? Or do you finally understand why humans never stop?" Her body betrayed her answer in the way she leaned closer again, in the way her lips parted, hungry for more. The sound of armored boots slammed outside the door. The king's voice thundered through the halls. "Open it, now!" The princess's eyes locked with the human's. She had one choice: betray her crown or betray her desire. She whispered fiercely, "Run with me. If we're caught, we die together." The human smiled, fire in his eyes. "Then let's make our escape. And maybe, princess, I'll prove it to you all night long." She shivered at his words, grabbed his hand, and together they fled into the storm. Hearts racing, guards in pursuit, and the forbidden fire between them burning brighter than ever. For the first time, the alien princess knew the truth. Humans were not weak, not primitive, not liars. They were dangerous, because they could make even a princess forget her crown for just one more touch. Naughty. Question for comments. If you were the princess on that final night, would you risk your crown for escape, or stay and demand the ultimate proof first?